Hi boys and girls, it's Show back with another video. Today we're going to cover Game Week 7 in the Premier League, put our results predictions in the video, as well as some fancy Premier League ideas and an insight into my team, how rubbish it's doing, and maybe some transfer ideas for myself and what we're going to do to get out of this rut. So without further ado, let's crack on with fixture number 1, the early kickoff, Man United versus Everton. Man United struggling to control the midfield, very much from a fancy Premier League perspective. Defenders, even David De Gea, who's in top gear, is not a good option because you are going to concede goals. Even if we're playing really well and we're winning 5-0, there is a goal to be had for the opposition there at any time. So yeah, avoid the defenders. Obviously, in terms of Man United, the only ones that have been consistent at getting points have been Ronaldo and Bruno. They're two of the most expensive options in the game at like a 12.5. If we look at them now on this right hand side of the screen here, yeah, Ronaldo's price has gone up by 0.2 now, and Bruno is, just a moment, Fernandes, there we are, 11.9. So yeah, he's obviously, if we look at his performances throughout, I mean, the issue with Bruno, I always find, is that, you know, do you think he's a better option this season than someone like a Salah in midfield at this price? And, you know, question is, have you made enough value to get both in the team? If you have, like I say, Man United perspective, really him and Ronaldo are the only two consistent options. I think anyone else is a bit of a gamble. Pogba's value's increased massively now. You know, I think really Greenwood as well, his value's gone up by 0.2. There's no real options here at all that are viable. So I think it's either, you know, you've got the value and it's expensive, but Ronaldo and Bruno are the only consistent options at Man United, so you shouldn't really look elsewhere. Yeah, Everton, I predicted Townsend would do well. He scored last week, so anyone that did have him, please say your thank yous in the comments, much appreciated. But yeah, Everton, Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin have obviously had fitness issues. Under Benitez, they tend to be a well-organised team. They don't use the fullbacks as well, which early on I failed to realise. And so I had Luca Dean in my team because obviously he was a serial points getter the season before. But because they don't use the fullbacks, they use the flanks that way, they often just use their wingers. You want their wingers. Okay, that is the key for Everton. So yeah, advice on that one is very easy. You need to be looking to get Demarai Gray and Townsend. They're the options. The issue is, if you're looking to increase value, Demarai Gray's already gone up significantly by 0.3. I mean, he's still relatively cheap. So obviously that could be an option for some people, depending on the value of the squad. But yeah, looking at it, for me, still Townsend at a 5.5, his value hasn't gone up. He's the option here, definitely. And yeah, don't think Everton, obviously, hopefully, won't do particularly well in this game. So yeah, up to you whether you stick those guys in. But yeah, quick prediction on this one. Like I say, Everton have had shown spurts, flashes in playing well. Poor against Aston Villa. United never control the game. Everton with Allen in midfield, Decore, very much expect them to battle well for the midfield in this one. So yeah, Moments FC to win again. I always predict United to win, strangely, as if I'm a United fan. And I'm going to go with a narrow 2-1 win for this one. Right, moving on to Burnley-Norwich. Right, Burnley-Norwich, this is a good one. I mentioned last week about this is the time to get Burnley players, and it is something that I'm considering here. If we look at Burnley here, I mentioned their defenders, Lowton's 4.4, right? This value dropping here, well worth a punt now. If we look at their fixture list coming up, Norwich here, right? Yeah, they got Man City away. You can always drop into the bench, and you've got Southampton, Brentford, and the next two fixtures there, which are very sort of, you know, points gettable. Dwight McNeil as well. His value has dropped to maybe worth a punt. Like I say, I think he's definitely their go-to points getter. So if you're going to have one Burnley player, it's going to be him and Chris Wood. But Chris Wood, looking at 6.8, there are better striker options, better value for money. Even in my team, it's struggling at the moment. I still think Emmanuel Dennis is a better option than probably Chris Wood in terms of the value there. So very much for me, if you're going to go with Burnley here, it's got to be a Lowton. Definitely would be my option there. A McNeil or a Brownhill. I've got Brownhill. I mentioned he takes a lot of their set pieces. He's very cheap. So when they've got the easy fixtures, that's where some good value could be had. Moving on. Norwich, like I say, I wouldn't really touch them. But they're going to get some points eventually. Why not now? I think Pukki obviously is the sort of the go-to player out of this team. Timo Pukki, 5.9, slight value drop. But if you look at their fixtures, Brighton have been in top form. Like I say, Burnley away is always a tough fixture. Then Chelsea away, they've got a good run here. It's not worth bringing any Burnley players in, Norwich players in at the moment, I would say, unless, like I say, you're just trying to cheapen out your squad to maybe afford a 12.5, afford a Ronaldo or a Bruno in your team. So, avoid Norwich for now. Easy fixture prediction for this one. I think Burnley, they've had some indifferent results recently. Arsenal obviously beat them, but they were still very much in that game and they created lots of chances. So I'm going to stick with Burnley on this one, and I'm going to go 2-1 to Burnley. So Chelsea Southampton. This one, Chelsea poor in the Champions League this week. Juventus obviously tactically completely outdid them. I mentioned about not changing these two. If you've got them, they'll come good, even if you have some sort of barren weeks. Just sticking with them sort of the best option. I think that's still the case at this point, because if you look at their fixture list, it's too good not to have those players in. So, like I say, you stick with them, because if you take them out and then you lose value by someone that you've put in struggling, then you've put yourself in a bit of a crappy situation there. So, stick with your Chelsea players. Lukaku, Alonso, obviously the go-to ones. Mendy definitely would be the other one if you're looking for a goalkeeper switch. Edouard Mendy definitely would be the option there. Like I say, Rudiger as well. It's usually relatively cheap. So there would be my sort of 4 options for Chelsea. I would try and ignore their midfield. They're not a team that often gets points from midfield. Havertz, a Mount, Pulisic, even Werner, obviously to an extent. I think he might be down as a striker though, if we just quickly look at that. Yeah, he's down as a striker. But they're not worth it. They're not worth touching the midfield at all. It's defence, goalkeeper and Lukaku. Obviously, if you've not got Alonso, then, like I say, Rudiger is the option here. Okay. Then Southampton. They very much a team that I would avoid generally. Like I say, it's Ward-Prowse or nothing for me with Southampton. So I would just ignore them for now. Moving on, we're going to suggest a Chelsea win for this one. I think it'd be tight, but I think Chelsea's pressure will tell in the second half. Controlling the midfield with Kante and Jorginho. I expect a 1-0 by about 70 minutes, and then maybe while Southampton push on in the last sort of 15 to try and grab the equaliser, Chelsea will pick them off. So I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea win here. Moving on to Leeds versus Watford. This one, difficult one really, because Leeds played well against Newcastle, and now they're without Bamford. In my team, I mentioned this before about how I had an absolute nightmare here, because I put in Harrison and he got injured after I'd made the transfer, and then Bamford, who had in the week before, I was keeping for this sort of running of fixtures which they've got, which is amazing. And here, Watford at home, Southampton away, Wolves at home, Norwich away, just a class fixture list. Screwed. So, like I mentioned before, get Rafinha in. Very, very important that you get him in. Like I say, it's Rafinha or Dallas at this point, because Dallas was the cheap value at the start. His value has dropped. This is where you regain your value, while Leeds have got an easy fixture list. So very much definitely get your... Meslier would be a punt, but they concede goals, so it's not worth it. It's definitely Rafinha Dallas Rafinha, Dallas all the way if you're going to go with Leeds there. And then looking at Watford, I mean I've gone with Emmanuel Dennis. I was going to say Isaac Success then. But Ismail Assar is who you want, really. I mean, he's the serial points getter. At 6.3, his value's gone up a bit, but still decent. Still decent. And Leeds, that is a game where he could easily grab some goals, so maybe worth thinking putting him in just for this fixture list. But the run-in isn't looking great. Very much. If you already have him, keep him in. Like I said, I'm going to keep Dennis in for another game week, and then I'll be looking to move him on, and then hopefully if he can do something in this game, we might get a 0.3 value increase there. On to the fixture prediction here. Leeds, Watford, both like to go for it. I'm going to go with a 3-2 Leeds win. Lots and lots of goals. Get your Leeds players in. This is going to be Rafinha, goal, 2 assists, something like that. It's going to be mental. Right, moving on to Brighton versus Arsenal. This one, Brighton, like I said, Mopé is the one that's doing really well at the moment. He's the reason they're in the position they are in the league, because as I've said with Brighton numerous times, they create so many chances. They're a terrific team to watch, and their problem every season has been that their attacking players, their strikers, they don't finish their chances. They aren't clinical. But Mopé has obviously started the season on fire, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. So going with him is never a bad idea. I mentioned that Duffy as well, if you've had him, who's obviously the cheap option for Brighton. I don't think he's going to drop out the team anytime soon because he's been playing well. If you have him, just stick with him. His value may continue to increase. Once he starts touching close to a 4.5, you might want to think once Webster comes back, whether he's gonna play sort of the majority of the season. They're the type of things that I would consider at that stage. Definitely Mopé, Duffy on the cheap, always to kind of increase a bit of value on your squad, so you can you spend it elsewhere on maybe like I say, the big hitters that you get in Fantasy Premier League. Solly March is always an option. Now he's really good at getting crosses in. Decent points getter, always relatively cheap. Could be a punt there. I would avoid Connolly. Like I said, I definitely think it's just Mopé really or nothing with this team, and like I say, a Duffy or someone like that, just to reduce your overall, or should I say, increase your overall transfer fee to then use against one of the big hitters. From an Arsenal perspective, it's the kind of 3/8 you want to get in your team. And obviously Saka. So it's Saka, it's Smith Rowe, it's Ødegaard. They're the 3 that you want. They're the ones that in a Mikel Arteta system, especially Smith Rowe and Ødegaard, they're the positions that thrive in an Arteta system. They're the ones that have really been coming up good of late. So yeah, very much. If you're going to go Arsenal, get on that bandwagon now, because they have been playing well. Could easily get a win against Brentford here. Got a decent run coming up as well. This is the time. Aubameyang at 9.9, and yeah, like I mentioned before, it's Smith Rowe, it's Ødegaard. They're the 2 to go for. Smith Rowe at 5.3, 2.2 cheaper than Ødegaard. For me, that is an absolute no-brainer. Ødegaard as well, in terms of the way he plays. Smith Rowe likes to sort of drive into the box a bit like Conor Gallagher for Crystal Palace, so he's definitely the one that's going to get in the end of more of chances. Ødegaard's going to be more of the assist man, or the pass to the assist, so you need to think about that. I mean, some players, they look good on paper, but then they'll be the ones that play the pass to the person that then passes it in to the goal scorer. So Smith Rowe very much going to be either the goal scorer or the assist man there. So definitely get him in your team, I think, right now, because Arsenal, decent run here. Okay, moving on. Brighton Arsenal, I think this would be a close game. I think Arsenal played terrifically well against Spurs. I'm backing them all the way. I think Brighton obviously will be a tough fixture. But I'm going to go with a 1-0 Arsenal away win here, and they're going to be climbing the table at the moment. On to the Sunday fixtures. Crystal Palace, Leicester. I always mention Crystal Palace, it's Conor Gallagher, that's who you want. He's the option here. If we just look at him here. yeah, his value's been obviously up by 0.2 now because he's been doing so well recently. But he's the guy that just bombs on into the box. Like I say, a bit like Smith Rowe in the sense of just being a bit like everywhere. And Vieira's system really suits him well, gets the best out of him. I very much think he's the man if you're going to go Crystal Palace. Zaha is always a bit streaky, and you do well to sort of get in on his streak. So I don't think it's worth touching really. There's better options that are in a similar position. Like I mentioned about Ismail Assar, they're the type of players that you want in ahead of Zaha, a bit more consistent. So just going forward, I think Guaita at 4.5 is obviously always a good one. If you can get him on the sort of up streak of fixtures for Crystal Palace. So at the moment, like I say, it's Conor Gallagher. You just sit him in your team. He occasionally chips in with a goal, cheaper option. Maybe use a bench boost when he's on your bench, and that type of thing. Just keep him sitting there. So he's the one to go for Crystal Palace. Nobody really else, I would say. And then Leicester, mentioned before, I think they're about to come good. I sort of predicted the Arsenal uptick of form. I think Leeds, like you said, with their fixture list, will probably start to pick it up now as well. I think Leicester are very much in that bracket as well. And I mentioned, about Harvey Barnes. I very much think that he's about to come good. Persist with Harvey Barnes. If you're looking for a cheaper option, really, with Leicester, there isn't a lot of value actually in their squad if you're thinking about it. But I always mentioned before, it's Vestergaard. I think defensively they'll do okay through most of the season, and I think it's going to be sort of like defence and then Vardy mainly. Their midfield has a little bit more bite to it than a Chelsea midfield. They get a bit more points, depending on obviously like when they sort of hit form. But I think very much Vardy, I mentioned last week, seems to be having another good season at his age. Just incredible player, great poacher, making those runs across the box. And even if Leicester lose or get battered, he's always chipping in with one goal. So yeah, he's the kind of player just stick him in, leave him in, a bit like Lukaku. And over the course of the season, he should rack you up close to 20 goals, and you're good. You're absolutely set. So yeah, for this one, I'm going to predict that Crystal Palace will get a goal, maybe take the lead. I think Leicester will get their season up and running, come out of nowhere, maybe second half, have an absolute dynamite performance in the second half away from home. And I'm going to go with a 2-1 Leicester away win here. Right, moving on to Spurs. Villa playing very, very well. Beat United obviously last week. Horrible result for us. Like I mentioned before, that when they first signed a bunch of their players, they signed Leon Bailey, and then obviously they signed Emiliano. Just a moment, let's just get their team up. Yeah, so Buendia. Who else did they sign? Who else did they pick up? Danny Ings, yeah. So Danny Ings, Leon Bailey, Emiliano Buendia, attacking, sort of class really. Leon Bailey turned the game against Everton on its head in 25 minutes, got man of the match, then got injured, got a goal and assist in that game. He's out. But I mentioned that they were overly attacking at the start, trying to play a bit more expansive football. A bit like Man United, when you don't have a defensive midfielder set up yet, you can't do it until your balance is right. So Dean Smith has addressed that immediately, unlike Solskjaer. And they're very much sort of playing on the counter attack now and playing to their strengths and what they were so good at last season. So yeah, very much if you're going to go with Villa, it's good to get some of their defenders in. I very much think game against Spurs, it's going to be a close affair. Could easily see that being a 0-0 draw, and that would probably actually be my prediction for this game, would be 0-0. So yeah, fancy Premier League on this one. Get some combination of defence in. Corny Hawes came in the last fixture here, played 90 minutes against Man United. Could be worth a punt here at 4.4. Yeah, definitely an option there. Matty Target, always solid through the season. These are the kind of players, Villa now, that you should be looking to get. And obviously, Danny Ings, he's a bit pricey at the moment. And like I say, if they're going to set up the way they're going to set up, I think it's all about the defence and the goalkeeper. It's Martinez, it's Target, and then it's a combination of centre backs depending on who you think is good value on any given week. Because really, like I said, Courtney Hawes at the moment might have forced his way into the team, so it could be a punt that. Spurs, Harry Kane. I mentioned the value of Harry Kane at the moment. The issue I've got with this actually when I've watched him against Arsenal is just how deep he's getting now. And I'm getting a bit tired of it really. It's a bit like this for England as well, even though he does chip in with the odd goal. It's not really worth it. So the question is, they've got a good run. They've got a decent run here. You get him in now at 12.1 when he used to be at 12.5, maybe get a bit of value back. But I'm changing my tune a little bit on that. I think the option is still just Son with Spurs. It's Son or nothing. Chips in with assists, chips in with goals, has the bit between his teeth a bit more this season. Kane looks a bit off it. But like I said, my prediction for this game is a 0-0. So, the Sanchez, Dyer options, they're all cheap. His value's increased. You've had him since the start of the season. They're very defensive under Espirito Santos, so I expect it to be this way as well. And then, West Ham, Brentford. West Ham, I've got Cresswell in here. He's not done very good for me over the course of the last few fixtures. It is something I'm considering moving on. But West Ham, like I mentioned, Fornals is always a good option here. If Jesse Lingard had gone back, he would have torn it up at West Ham. Like the number 10 always does ludicrously well in a David Moyes system. So like I said, Fornals, definitely an option against Brentford. And obviously, Jarrett Bowen played really well against United. He seems to have come back fitter this season. And obviously, we know what Ben Rama's doing. But I think you can't go wrong with any of them. And this is where the value is in West Ham. It's Fornals, it's Bowen, it's Ben Rama, and obviously Antonio. So definitely in their attack rather than their defence, I would say so. And then, Brentford, I mentioned before, values in their defence. They got some cheap options in Ayer. He's always a good option. They've also got in their defence Janssen and Pinnock. They're massive, they're great off set pieces, they're all relatively cheap, they're going to chip in with goals. I definitely think it's worth just having one somewhere in your team. Like I say, a bit like a Duffy here. And it's a good way of getting value in. Like I say, Cresswell, for example, sure, they're not really performing this season, not getting the points you want. You might want to just go with the big hitters in these two. Obviously, maybe get rid of him at the moment, Alexander-Arnold, but then you have like a Pinnock or a Janssen or an Ayer in on the cheap, and they're going to perform as well as these guys at the moment, I would say. So it's definitely worth it in terms of a Brentford defender. But West Ham Brentford, I'm going to go West Ham win here. I think their midfield as well is terrific, and Declan Rice and Souček. I think they'll outcompete Brentford over the course of this. It'll be a tight game, but I'm going to go a 2-1 West Ham win here. And then finally, Liverpool Man City. Up to you what you do with this one. I won't mention too many of the players because we know what they're like. You keep Salah in over the course of it. Even if City end up winning, Salah might end up scoring. There's no point really changing it unless you're kind of looking to switch them out for one fixture. Maybe you're thinking, take him out one fixture, put him straight back in, and then you're thinking, okay, I can get a better sort of option right now, someone that's maybe got a better run of fixtures just for this game week. And that would obviously, in my opinion, if we're looking at it, would be someone, if we're looking at similar kind of value, I would be going Fernandes here. Here. Everton at home, Leicester away. Decent fixtures. If you've got to swap out, it's just a straight swap for someone like a Bruno. This one, up to you. Bit of a free hit. Whether you just don't want to sort of waste a -4 or -8. You just keep them in, stick them somewhere. Hope it works out for you. Won't really worry about it too much. And for my prediction on this one, I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think they'll cancel each other out. Both will have phases in the game. Man City should control possession largely. I think they'll probably take the lead, even away from home. And then I think Liverpool just come roaring back with the crowd, make that 1-1. Okay, so that's my predictions and some fancy ideas, and then we're just going to have a look at my team now because it's absolutely terrible. So if you look at mine, I've only got one transfer. I've got 1.1 in the bank because I've just been messing around with cheap options. So, I mean, Ferran Torres has been a nightmare because he was such a good option. I got him in early when he was getting me points, and then inexplicably Pep does what Pep does, where he just overcoaches, and I have no idea what he's going to do next. The issue is just these two, isn't it? Like, when's he back? 16th of October. Should be back. And he'll be back for the Watford game, most likely. This is what we're talking about. Absolute mare, this. Right, okay, we're gonna do some stuff. We're not gonna waste your time. Let's have a crack and mess around with this. Okay, so Lukaku, Alonso, keep them in. We know what their fixture list is. Lovely. So glad that I've got those two in at the moment. Greenwood, I just can't do anything with him. He's not worth moving at the moment. He's got to play. He may do something in these games. I'm being forced into this band here. There's nothing that I can do. What are my options here? What are my options? Looking at the price list here, I mean, I've got an 8.9 now from Bamford. I believe they put Sancho down as a striker and Salah's not. That's bizarre, isn't it? Very, very bizarre. Oh, down as a midfielder, split. I'm used to using my phone. It's split into the divide as it is. It is down as a midfielder. That makes more sense to me now. Brentford at home. I mean, Antonio seems like the choice. No, like I say, I don't think Villa are going to score a lot of goals in those fixtures. Ings isn't worth it. Don't have the value, but I think this is a very, very good shout at the moment, Aubameyang. Jesus at 8.6 at 6 is not good value. You've missed the boat there, really. I think Jimenez actually. The way Wolves have played recently, they were good at last week. Newcastle at home, decent run of fixtures. I think we might have found our gamble here. Yeah, I think we found our gamble. That's what we're going to do. We're going Jimenez. Interesting strike force now. This is the last time I'm going to have Emmanuel Dennis in. Hopefully he actually does something. But it's Ismail Assar that's been getting those points. I've got to go -4 here. Or do I? Let's have a look at it now. We've done it. Let's have a look now. We're on the pick team. Get Harrison back in. Surely he's going to start. Surely he's going to play. Surely. This is tasty, isn't it? With Torres on the bench. Torres is not going to play. He's such a useless player at the moment. this is a gamble. I think Brownhill in against Norwich, some set pieces. These are the kind of moves you got to think about, boys and girls. I think we've got to go Lukaku captain as well against Southampton. That's what you've got to be looking to do. Easy go Alonso captain as well. He's a great captain pick, to be fair, as well. If you get a clean sheet, he might be worth it, you know. Lukaku not necessarily, but Alonso is a punt. I'm gonna go Lukaku, but do think about if you're undecided on this, consider going Alonso as your captain really here, and then yeah, we'll just stick him down as vice captain as well. Maybe we won't. Yeah, we will. No, we won't. There we go. So that's going to be the team for this game week. I'm not going to go -4. We're just going to leave Alexander-Arnold here, Torres as well. Just why not? He's going to sit there on the bench. Hopefully I don't lose too much value there. But this is the team. So Sanchez in goal. Brighton versus Arsenal. Luke Shaw is going to be back fit against Everton. Should hopefully play. Then Cresswell. I expect West Ham to win. You know, he's going to come good eventually, I'd imagine. Alonso, we know what he brings, and Chelsea got a perfect run of fixtures. I've gone Brownhill into the team now. He's back fit. Expect him to start. Takes a lot of their set pieces. Could see him just getting some assists, getting into Chris Wood, and obviously like he would be an option for you guys. Harrison, expect him to come straight back into the team. I don't think James and others have impressed. I think he could come back and feature quite quickly. They've got a good run of fixtures, so watch this space with him. And then Salah, Greenwood, and then Jimenez, obviously the transfer that I made. I think he's a good option at the moment at a 7.5. That's good value. And like I say, because Bamford's gone to a 7.8, you could easily see Jimenez go to a 7.8 or something like that over the next couple of weeks as well. So that is a good option there. And then Lukaku and Emmanuel Dennis. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. A bit of a big one. Covered the fixtures. We've covered my team. Have a laugh of it. Slag it off in the comments. I don't care. Who would you put in? Let me know. Any predictions you want to throw in as well for today's fixtures. Maybe the game you're most looking forward to. Throw it in the comments. And please like, share, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Ciao.